All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready. What fascinating corner of history are we exploring today?
Well, this time we're heading back to the book of Judges,
Yeah.
specifically chapter 10.
Judges, huh? Lots of drama and intrigue there.
Oh, absolutely. It's full of, well, cycles of messing up and getting back on track. Powerful leaders, too.
And probably some timeless lessons we can apply to our lives, even today, right?
You know it. Okay, so to set the scene, we're in this period after the Israelites entered the Promised Land. And, well, things aren't exactly peaceful and easy.
So not quite the happily ever after they were hoping for.
Not quite. They're supposed to be following God, but they keep getting sidetracked. Like constantly, it's this pattern of messing up, then trying to get back on track, and then messing up again.
The human condition in a nutshell makes you wonder if they had like a 12-step program back then.
Right. But that's where these figures called judges come in.
They're kind of like the fixers of that time.
Exactly. Charismatic leaders who emerge during these times of crisis to guide the Israelites back to God and deliver them from their enemies.
I guess every generation needs its heroes, right?
So true. In this chapter, we meet Tola and Jair. They're judges who bring some stability and peace to Israel. But get this, Jair had 30 sons,
Wow, that's a big family.
and each son ruled their own city.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the family dynamics at play there?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, was it a strategy, like divide and conquer to keep control of a larger territory? Or was it just constant tension and power struggles?
Fascinating to think about, right? What kind of leader could even manage all of that? But then, classic Israelites.
What did they do this time?
They slip right back into those old habits. They start worshiping all these other gods, Baalim, Ashtaroth, you name it, all the gods of their neighbors.
It's like they completely forgot everything they'd just gone through.
It's kind of like that, isn't it? Makes you wonder if we do the same thing today.
I think so, in a way. We may not have those literal idols, but we definitely have our modern versions.
Like what are those modern idols you're thinking of?
Oh, I don't know. Think about it. Social media fame, that constant need to be liked, the endless chase for more stuff, maybe even needing to be right all the time.
Ooh, that's a good one. We're always chasing something.
And just like the Israelites, we often face the consequences when we make those things more important than what truly matters.
And those consequences can be rough.
What happened to them?
Well, they ended up getting oppressed by the Philistines and Ammonites
Yeah,
for 18 years, just because of those choices.
18 years. That's a long time to be under someone else's control.
It really is. It makes you think actions really do have consequences. Sometimes we have to experience that downside, you know?
Like a cosmic wake-up call.
Totally. But here's the interesting part. Even when they hit rock bottom, the Israelites cried out to God. They admitted their mistakes, they confessed, and asked for help.
So even when we mess up, there's still a chance to turn things around.
Exactly. It's about recognizing what you did wrong, turning away from those bad patterns, and actually trying to change.
Not just saying sorry, but actually doing something about it.
And that's the key, isn't it?
Right.
But I think what's even more amazing is that even though they messed up big time, God still had compassion, ready to listen and help.
So there's always hope.
It seems like it, right? Even when we feel like we've totally blown it, there's still a chance to come back. There's that path of forgiveness, and that's really powerful.
It is, and that's something we could all use a reminder of sometimes.
Oh, sure.
So what happens next? Do the Israelites finally learn their lesson?
Well, that's a story for another deep dive.
Can't wait.
It really is. That hope, that chance to change things up. It kind of leads us to this new leader, Jephthah.
Jephthah. Okay, now his story is interesting, not your average hero, right?
No, not at all. He's the son of a prostitute, cast out by his family. Basically, he's forced to live on the edges of society.
And yet, it's that outsider thing that makes him able to see things differently. He's not held back by the same old expectations like everyone else.
So when the elders come to him, begging for help to fight these Ammonites, he's got a whole new way of looking at things. But I bet he didn't just say yes right away.
Right. I mean, he'd been rejected, cast out. There had to be some hesitation.
Totally. He even reminds them, didn't you hate me? Drive me from my father's house. Like, come on.
There's some bitterness there for sure. Like, now you need me.
I can only imagine. But in the end, he wants to save his people. That's stronger than his resentment. He agrees to lead them into battle. But not without setting a few things straight first.
Ah, so there's a little business negotiation going on here.
Right. He makes them promise. If he wins, he's the leader, even after the war is over.
So there's ambition there too. Mixed in with the whole serving his people thing makes him more human, doesn't it?
For sure. He's not just this perfect, selfless hero. He's driven by all these different things. Some are good, maybe some not so much. That's what makes his story so relatable.
Totally. It shows us even those hero types, they have flaws. Makes you wonder what we consider heroic, right?
It does make you think. But then, things get really complicated. Before he goes into battle, Jephthah makes this vow to God.
Oh boy, here we go. What did he promise?
He says if he wins, he'll sacrifice the first thing that comes out of his house to meet him when he returns home. Not the best move.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. You can almost see where this is headed.
It's classic good intentions gone wrong. In that moment, maybe anxiety, wanting to please God, who knows. He makes this promise, but doesn't really think it through.
And those consequences, they come back to bite him, don't they?
Hard. The first person who comes out to greet him is his daughter, his only child.
Oh, wow. Heartbreaking. What was he thinking?
I don't know, maybe he felt obligated. Had to fulfill that vow no matter what, like completely blinded by it.
It makes you think about faith, about sacrifice, about not thinking things through, how our choices can have unintended consequences.
Big time. So what do we do with Jephthah's story? He saves his people, but then this tragic thing happens. It's complicated.
It really is. Makes you think. Leadership, even with the best intentions, it's a huge responsibility. Even the best leaders, they can make choices that have consequences they never saw coming.
Like a cautionary tale. Think carefully about those promises you make. Because your actions, they can really impact things.
And even when there's tragedy, there's still that possibility of grace, of forgiveness. Maybe that's the takeaway?
Yeah.
That even when things fall apart, there's that chance for connection, for putting things back together.
It's a message that even after all these years, still speaks to us. Makes you wonder what parts of those stories we're still living out, right? So we've been talking about Jephthah, this leader, this outcast who really messed up. I mean, where do you even go from there? Can you even come back from something like that?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, how do you move on after a loss like that, especially when it was your own doing? Jephthah's story, well, it doesn't have easy answers, but it does make you think about grief and guilt and how faith can help you through.
It makes you wonder how he even kept leading after all that. Did the Israelites, hold him responsible?
Well, the text kind of hints that things weren't smooth sailing. Some of the tribes, they challenged him, even threatened to fight him.
Wow, really? Even after he'd saved them?
Yeah. They said he went too far, making that vow. Like he had no right.
So he's a hero, but then this one bad decision, and people start questioning him.
Exactly. Leadership, it can be fragile. One wrong step, boom, trust is gone. And then everyone's divided. Jephthah's story is a reminder. Being a leader, it's not just about winning battles or having power. It's about character, doing the right thing, making choices that are good for everyone.
Makes you think about leaders today.
Right.
1 minute they're on top, then something happens. A bad choice, a mistake. And suddenly everyone's looking at them differently.
That's so true. It reminds us that leadership, it's not like you reach the top and that's it. It's a journey. It's constantly looking at yourself, learning from those mess-ups, and admitting that you don't have all the answers.
So much to think about. Any last thoughts about Judges chapter 10? Anything you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I'd say this. Life is messy. Leading people is hard. And even when you're trying your best, you can still make choices that have terrible consequences. But even with all that, there's always hope. You can grow. You can find redemption.
Powerful stuff. It's amazing how these ancient stories still have so much to teach us.
That's the beauty of it, I think. They connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
Well said. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep into whatever fascinates you.